Good evening, this is Brass Tacks, I'm Zakka Jacob. Today the BJP released what it called a Congress Toolkit to try and target the Modi government under the garb of COVID mismanagement and how to tarnish India's image on various international fora. Now this alleged toolkit released by the BJP and tweeted out by numerous BJP leaders gives an elaborate plan about how to call this the Indian variant, the Modi variant, how to collaborate with various international publications, international fora, and to bring Mr. Modi down a notch or two. The Congress, on the other hand, has hit back at the BJP, calling this a forged document and saying that they will take legal action against various BJP leaders. All said and done, one thing is clear. We are faced with a war of our lifetimes against an invisible virus. This political back and forth, how much is this ill-timed and how much is this actually counterproductive to our fight against COVID-19? That's what we'll debate tonight on Brass Tacks, but first, the story itself.
आज कांग्रेस पार्टी का एक टूल किट चल रहा है.
A Congress Toolkit. That is what the BJP claims to be in possession of. A toolkit which the BJP alleges has been designed to destroy Prime Minister Modi's image over the government's handling of the COVID crisis. The toolkit, which has now been tweeted by several BJP leaders, purportedly asks Congress workers to use phrases such as Indian strain and Modi strain on social media.
जो नया स्ट्रेन आया है जिसको कि WHO में भी मना कर दिया गया है, इंडियन स्ट्रेन नहीं बुलाना है, उसके साइंटिफिक नाम से उसको एड्रेस करना है. मगर यहां कांग्रेस पार्टी कहीं ना कहीं जो निर्णय WHO में भी हुआ है उसके विपरीत जाते ये कह रही है कि आप उसको इंडियन स्ट्रेन बुलाइए और तो और उसे मोदी स्ट्रेन बुलाइए.
BJP President JP Nadda accused the Congress of dividing society and spewing venom. Union Minister Smriti Irani accused the Congress of stooping to a new low at a time when the country is at war with a virus. The Congress denied the allegation and filed a complaint against the BJP for forgery.
आप हैरान होंगे कैसे एक फर्जी कागज को कांग्रेस का दिखाते हुए, हमारे लेटर हेड को फोर्ज करते हुए, रिसर्च डिपार्टमेंट के लेटर हेड को फोर्ज करते हुए आज एक सुबह से सोशल मीडिया और मीडिया में एक माहौल बनाने की कोशिश की जा रही है कि कैसे साहेब की ऊपर जो उनकी छवि पर जो आंच आ रही है, कैसे लोगों का ध्यान उससे हटे, कैसे सारे टेलीविजन पे यही डिबेट हो, टूल किट आ गया जी, टूल किट आ गया जी.
All indications from the coronavirus numbers in India in the last few days suggest that the curve is flattening. But the end of the second wave may still be a long way off. So at a time when we need to unite to fight the virus, will this political bickering hamper our fight?
All right, so before I start the debate, let me just lay this out for all our guests and all our viewers. Whether this document is genuine or forged will be a matter of investigation. It is investigating agencies and their job to find out whether this is genuine or not. Having said that, news channels like CNN News 18, our job is to report. We're putting this out there for our viewers. This has been put out by the BJP, this alleged toolkit. The Congress has hit back saying that this is a forged document. Be that as it may, the larger debate is this is the last time that we need, or the most inopportune time that we need political bickering drawing back our fight against this virus. On the talking point tonight, Pawan Khera, spokesperson of the Congress Party, RP Singh, spokesperson of the BJP, Rashid Kidwai, political analyst, and Kailash Adhikari is managing director with Governance Now. So having laid out that caveat, Pawanji, you will agree that let the investigating agencies decide whether this is a forged document or a genuine document. But having said that, in this alleged toolkit, the use of phrases like India strain, Modi strain, the BJP is saying that even the WHO is not saying that they will link strains of this virus to places. So why link it to an India strain or to a Modi strain?
No, who is linking it? It's the BJP manufactured toolkit which is linking it. We are not. The fact of the matter is that half their time they spend in covering the truth, hiding the truth. The remaining half they spend in spreading lies. Now that's how this government has wasted 7 glorious years that could have been glorious because of the kind of mandate they've got. That's the reason why we are where we are. Now tell me, the bodies, thousands of bodies floating in Ganga and Yamuna, part of a toolkit. People gasping for oxygen outside hospitals, inside hospitals, dying, part of a toolkit to defame Mr. Modi. Who is Mr. Modi? That everything has to be about him. अरे यहाँ लोग मर रहे हैं और उनको अपनी छवि की चिंता। अरे साहब मोदी जी बदनाम हो गए, मोदी जी बदनाम हो गए। कौन है मोदी जी भाई? Don't try and make a Hercules out of a pygmy. एक बौने को आप कद्दावर बनाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, उसमें पूरे देश को आप नुकसान पहुंचा रहे हैं। Who is he? उनसे पहले भी आए हैं प्रधानमंत्री, बाद में भी आएंगे। कौन है साहब? अपने आप को क्या समझते हैं कि जो बात है मोदी जी को बदनाम कर दिया? अरे साहब यहाँ लोग, टेल मी, वो जो लाशें हैं वो मोदी जी को बदनाम करने के लिए फेंकी लोगों ने, या लोग जो मर गए वो मोदी जी को बदनाम करने के लिए मर गए? आत्महत्या कर ली उन्होंने कि मोदी जी बदनाम हो जाएंगे? कौन है भाई मोदी जी?
No, but Pawanji, at least can we agree that, this is not the time for political point scoring? At least can we agree that in
Zakka,
this fight we need government as much as we need opposition?
Zakka,
and whatever the merits of this is, I'm not going into the merits of it. Whatever the merits are, that will be decided by an investigating agency.
Fair question. Tell me.
Where is that political unity, sir? Where is that political unity?
Now let me respond. Yes, this is no time for political bickering. Why are you having this debate then? Let's discuss the black fungus. Let's discuss the preparedness for the third wave. Why are you pitching me against RP Singh and discussing something which we have filed an FIR? Why it's sub judice? It is sub judice. We are filing FIRs against everybody who tries to amplify something which is forced and fabricated. आप करना चाह रहे हैं, फिर आप कहते हैं लड़ाई नहीं होनी चाहिए। लड़ाई तो आप करवा रहे हैं। क्यों बैठा है आपने? क्यों ये चर्चा कर रहे हैं? इस पे बताइए ना। इतना इंपॉर्टेंट मुद्दा है। More important than people's lives. No, wait. No, you asked me something. No, let me finish.
No, Pawanji.
Sorry.
You will agree that the same news channels have also been covering this story.
Mr. Modi is not important.
No,
this story
we are covering this story. We are covering not this story. We are covering all the stories that you mentioned. Black fungus, bodies on the Ganga, all of it we are covering, sir.
Zakka, I am not denying that. All that I am trying to say is, look at the modus operandi of this government. Trying to ensure that prime time debates are meant to corner the opposition. Do you think we'll get cornered by all this forgery?
Okay.
No, sir, I'm not. I'm sorry. If you think we'll get cornered, you'll be disappointed.
We will corner the government also. We will corner the government also. So let me ask RP Singh, as a spokesperson of the BJP.
Sir, you are incidental. Just what is more important?
सीधा सवाल है RP Singh. RP Singh, the Congress is saying this is a forged document. Why are you putting out forged documents? Why are spokespersons, why are ministers tweeting forged documents? Why not wait for the authenticity of this document to be established in an investigation? उसके बाद आप करिए अपनी राजनीति करने के लिए तो we have years left. अभी करना है क्या राजनीति? RP Singh.
ज़ाका, पवन मेरे अच्छे दोस्त और हिंदी के बड़ी अलग-अलग शब्दावली आज यूज की है, many lingos of the Hindi phrase. पवन, प्रॉब्लम है कि एक पप्पू नाम से कौवा है, रोज मेरे मुंडेर पे आता है, रोज मेरी मुंडेर पे आता है और रोज सुबह आकर कुछ नहीं करता, का कुछ कंस्ट्रक्टिव करो ना, कुछ अच्छा करो, एक मुंडेर पे चढ़कर का उससे क्या बनने वाला है? आप क्या कह रहे हैं? और ये झगड़ा मोदी जी का नहीं है। आप मोदी जी को खूब रोज गाली निकालता हो कौवा का का करके, परंतु झगड़ा है कि आप देश को बदनाम करते हो। When you say it is an Indian mutant, the debate previous to this debate was on whether what China is doing. Has Mr. Rahul Gandhi ever tweeted on China? I dare him. Ask him to tweet on China virus. Let him mention in his tweet tomorrow morning that this whole of this virus is because of China. No. It is an Indian mutant. जितना बदनाम कर सकते हो मोदी जी को बदनाम करो. Defame as much you can Modi ji. No, it's an Indian mutant. It's a Modi mutant. But they can go to any extent to defend the country. Hire the foreign journalists, grease them up, work with them, paint India black, pick up Indian journalists who can write there. But that's what is happening. That's what this toolkit says. And then I'm saying there's nothing wrong with the toolkit. You can use toolkit till the time it's serving the nation for purpose of the nation. But you are here hampering the purpose of the nation. You are defaming the country. That's the problem, Pawan. And
No, but आरपी साहब एक बात बताइए, ये नहीं एक बात बताइए, ये जो नहीं आरपी सिंह साहब एक बात बताइए, ये जो इंटरनेशनल मीडिया लिख रही है या नेशनल मीडिया लिख रही है, जो तस्वीरें हम दिखा रहे हैं, क्या ये सब ये टूल किट के भाग है? आपका मानना है कि ये सब ये टूल किट का षड्यंत्र है?
नहीं, ये तो कांग्रेस का षड्यंत्र है. This is the game plan of the Congress. That's the problem. They are trying to defend the country. I mean, because they can't. What is the toolkit do? What does the toolkit mention? Keep Modi's rating is still very high. We need to hit Modi. His rating is very high. We need to hit Modi. Oh, you can hit, but don't hit the nation. And then world is saying it is a China virus. World is saying it is a Wuhan virus. No. It's an Indian strain. It's an Indian virus.
Oh,
Zakka.
Okay.
May I respond?
Okay.
May I
Pawanji,
respond?
30 seconds and then I have to go to Rashid Kidwai and Kailash Adhikari. Yes, please.
Zakka.
No, what RP Singh said, has Rahul Gandhi ever tweeted against China and the Wuhan virus?
मैंने सुन लिया था. We are talking about a prime minister who did not have the guts to even name China. छोड़िए ना, झूठ बोल गए, चाइना को बचा गए प्रधानमंत्री. वो डिबेट बाद में होगी, पहले हो चुकी है. ना आप
राहुल गांधी
करते हैं. बीच में मत बोलिए. सबसे बड़ा फेंकू अगर इस देश ने कोई देखा है तो वो नरेंद्र मोदी है, और बौना अलग है. एक बौना फेंकू को आप बड़ा नेता बनाने के चक्कर में हैं और पूरे देश का नुकसान करा रहे हैं. बौना है, बौना ही रहेगा ना, वो कद्दावर नहीं बन सकता. मैं आपसे हाथ
अभी तो आप कहते हो उनकी रेटिंग बहुत हाई है, सोने की रेटिंग इतनी
सर
हाई है.
क्या ये नहीं एक बात तो मैं कहना चाहूंगा दोनों प्रवक्ताओं को. एक बात तो मैं जरूर कहना चाहूंगा टू बोथ बीजेपी स्पोक्सपर्सन एंड कांग्रेस स्पोक्सपर्सन. मैं सिर्फ इतना कहना चाहूंगा कि देश की जनता देख रही है. ये टाइम नहीं है राजनीतिक पॉइंट स्कोरिंग के लिए. ये टाइम नहीं है. ये जो लड़ाई आप लोगों के बीच में चल रहा है ना, फेकू वर्सेस पप्पू वगैरह, जो भी लड़ाई चल रही है आपके बीच में, दिस इज नॉट द टाइम. So let me go to Rashid Kidwai, please. Let me go to Rashid Kidwai. Rashid, the question is simple. Rashid, the question is simple. There is the war that India is fighting against COVID. It's an invisible enemy. I can't think of anything quite as challenging as what we have seen in the last one and a half years as this virus, any time in recent history. The question though is, ultimately, 1 year down the line, 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, if there is to be a political cost for this, and this is where the alleged toolkit gets interesting, because everybody agrees that even today, nobody is blaming Mr. Modi or certainly not directly, certainly not personally, for the mess that we are seeing, right? So the political capital of it or the political accountability of it is still not being put on him, right? Is that something that worries the opposition? And is that why it's plausible that, you know, let's forget about this toolkit for a moment. I'm saying this again and again. This is an alleged toolkit. The toolkit has to be investigated to find out whether it's genuine or not. But is it plausible that the opposition still finds it difficult to believe that people are not willing to blame Mr. Modi despite all the troubles that we've gone through as a country against this virus? Rashid.
Zakka, I think we must analyze that, you know, who gains from it. And who is ruling, who's in government. See, if a Congress has committed a wrong, then obviously they should have, by now they should have gone to 24 Akbar Road, seized all computers and laptops and investigated. Instead, what we see is senior ministers, BJP functionaries are accusing Congress for indulging in this. The Congress may be accused of many things, but fakery has not been their strong point. And we all know, Professor Rajiv Gowda, it is unexpected for you or me to believe that Mr. Rajiv Gowda or his, the research team would be indulging in this. I am not accusing the BJP. I am saying this matter needs to be investigated. I would not like to believe that there is a deep state or somebody is doing it as a diversionary tactics. We all know our friend, a journalist friend, who supposedly got admission in Harvard and all, and all these things have happened. And nobody could reach to the culprit. This is my problem. I think this will not end. Okay. This has a purpose and intent. That intent has been, by these kind of debates, it's being achieved because, this being able to deflect away from, COVID problems, its solution and our resolve and fight, etc.
No, I will only, take 10 seconds and slightly disagree with what Rashid is saying, because it's not like by tomorrow morning we are not going to discuss COVID, or it's not like by day after we are going to forget COVID. COVID is still going to be the dominant headline for newspapers and for news channels till we, can safely say that we've overcome this virus. But be that as it may, that's a very small disagreement. Let me go to Kailash Adhikari and ask him again, couple of points that are mentioned again, and I'm saying this, alleged toolkit. One about the Central Vista, why should we divert money for Central Vista at this point of time, and two about PM Cares. Can you please elaborate on those 2 points? Are those valid questions, even if it is coming from an alleged document?
Zakka, firstly, I agree with you over the fact that right now is not the time to play politics, be it any political party. See, we are fighting, and as you rightly said, an invisible enemy, which is a virus, and which is taking lives. And now the second wave, we have seen that it is grappling the entire population, not only just the elderly, but also the young population. And we see that even though, fortunately enough, in the past 2 days, the caseload has come down, but the death toll, the mortality rate has not reduced. So that is a cause of concern still. And in all this, the political parties playing the drama over and politics over the toolkit is just unwarranted. As a citizen of this nation, I believe that this is a time where even we have to get united. Opposition can play a part as a constructive opposition, as well as the government should be open to ideas. I'd like to state example here of M.K. Stalin when he became the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister just recently. He immediately formed an advisory panel and invited all members of the opposition party to come and provide suggestion and then form a task force accordingly. So right now, be it the alleged toolkit, as you rightly mentioned, because there is no authentication whether who has come with that is let alone the investigative agencies to decide. But questions such as Central Vista, they are being debated, PM Cares Fund. The time is now to fight the virus, to make sure that India comes over the second wave, and the focus should be vaccination. Vaccination, Zakka, is the only answer.
Yes.
And जनता बहुत समझी हुई है, सुलझी हुई है इस देश की. ये प्राइम टाइम डिबेट पे पप्पू और बोना ये सब शब्दों को जनता समझ जाएगी. So it's high time that we fight unitedly the enemy at the current moment, which is the virus, rather than indulge into such political debates.
Okay, I'll go back to the political spokespersons and I'll wrap the debate. I'm also getting a piece of breaking news. Pawanji, now is not the time for politics. At least let's agree on that.
The question is to me, Zakka?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. To you.
Zakka, what is politics? Politics is when the opposition party performs its duty to remind the government, request the government to do some course correction, which Dr. Manmohan Singh did, Sonia ji did, all of our leaders are doing. Are we failing in our duty to highlight what could have been done better or what should be done better in terms of vaccination, in terms of preparing yourself for the third wave, in terms of procuring neonatal and pediatric ventilation, because the third wave, experts say, will hit the children. We are all worried. As opposition, we are doing our duty, but somebody is worried. Opposition चिल्ला रही है, पूछ रही है, सवाल पूछ रही है, corner कर रही है सरकार को. That's somebody who is worried. He's trying to create toolkits like they did during the farmer agitation. सिखों को खालिस्तानी बता दिया. अरे साहब, सिख हमारे अपने हैं, उनको खालिस्तानी बता दिया. टूलकिट है जी, ये है, वो है, फला. नौजवान, youth who was protesting against fee hike, toolkit बन गए. This toolkit culture is the typical Modi Shah culture. Now Delhi and India will reject this culture. People are suffering and we'll highlight their suffering.
Okay.
We'll give voice, we'll lend our voice as the opposition party to all the shortcomings of this government.
RP Singh Sahab.
And RP Singh Sahab, ने मुझे बहुत
इंटरप्ट किया था
पिछली बार, तो मैं इन्हें इंटरप्ट करूंगा, मैं आपको पहले ही बोलूंगा.
Can I make a small point, Zakka, only very small point?
नहीं.
RP Singh साहब, आपने मुझे बहुत इंटरप्ट किया था, तो स्मॉल या बिग पॉइंट तो नहीं होगा.
Can I make a small point?
Final 30 seconds. I got to wrap up the debate. RP Singh Sahab, please. RP Singh Sahab.
माफी मांग ली.
30 seconds.
दिल तो छोटा है.
आरपी साहब 30 सेकंड क्लोजिंग कमेंट्स. मुझे ब्रेकिंग न्यूज पे भी जाना है, प्लीज. आरपी सिंह प्लीज जेंटलमैन ओनली आरपी सिंह क्लोजिंग कमेंट्स 30 सेकंड. आरपी साहब ये टूलकिट की बात छोड़िए. लेट्स डील विद द वायरस. सरकार का काम है लोगों को राहत पहुंचाना. लेट्स फोकस ऑन दैट प्लीज.
के माफी
मैं वही कह रहा हूँ, वही वो हम करना चाहते हैं. But what is Congress doing? Dividing society and swinging venom against others. Congress is master at this. India is seeing Congress antique while the nation is fighting COVID-19. My president is urging Congress to go beyond toolkit and do something constructive. And on part of being constructive, use those ventilators which have been sent. You didn't use them for 1 year. They were debunked.
Okay.
They were given on rent.
Okay.
Come on with something constructive.
I got to wrap up. I'm getting a piece of breaking news. Thank you very much, RP Singh, Pawan Khera, Rashid Kidwai and Kailash Adhikari. This one is important because we're just getting in news that Prime Minister Modi will be visiting Gujarat as well as Diu tomorrow. This is, of course, to assess the situation and the damage left in the wake of Cyclone Tauktae. He will, in fact, be leaving Delhi, we're given to understand, tomorrow morning, and he will be spending the day largely in Gujarat, where he will attend a review meeting and also be taking stock of the damage in Diu. Let's get more details on this. Payal Mehta joining us. Payal, what more details can you share with our viewers?
What we do know is that the Prime Minister tomorrow morning will be going to Bhavnagar. From there, in fact, he'll be taking an aerial survey of the damage that really happened across Gujarat, the coastal areas, and also, Daman and Diu, which is, of course, neighboring union territory as well. He'll also be holding a review meeting in Ahmedabad, because remember, Gujarat has been massively impacted by this cyclone that you've really seen, and the impacts were felt at least till this evening as well. So obviously, when the Chief Minister has been monitoring the situation right on the clock, the Prime Minister himself has been in touch with the Gujarat government. The Home Minister has been in touch with the Gujarat government, but the Prime Minister has decided that he'll go there and get the survey done effectively so that he is ensured of what really has happened on ground as well. There has been a lot of inconvenience that has been caused to people on the ground, especially given the fact that trees have been uprooted, electric posts have been uprooted. Thankfully, there's been no loss to life really. That is the only saving grace. So obviously the Prime Minister taking a first-hand account of this in his home state, Gujarat.
All right, Payal, we'll leave it at that. We'll see how the story progresses, and we'll, of course, be covering that as the Prime Minister goes to Gujarat and Diu to assess the damage left behind in the wake of Cyclone Tauktae. In fact, talking about the cyclone and the damage that's been left behind, there is still a massive rescue operation being undertaken by the Indian Navy, the Indian Coast Guard. This is, of course, to search for at least 70 remaining workers on the ONGC barge P305, which sank off the coast of Bombay High. So far, 183 personnel have been rescued by the naval ships, and they will be brought to Mumbai in the morning. But hope is fast receding for about 78 personnel who are still missing. More than 260 personnel were deployed for offshore drilling, and they got de-anchored and began drifting because of cyclonic storm Tauktae. Shreya Dondial has more details on this. So will the search and rescue operations now only resume tomorrow morning because of absence of daylight?
Yes, absolutely. There is no light right now, and this is something that hampers search and rescue operations. Search and rescue operations, in any case, were hampered through the day today, Zakka, because of inclement weather. So whenever there was a window, when the skies were clear, was when the helicopters were flying in and winching out people. But it's going to be a very, very long night for the 78 people who are still missing. Now they've been missing for 24 hours. They are in the water. They're without food. They are, they're without any drinking water, which means they're possibly dehydrated as well. And the question is that what happens to these 78 people? We know they are in the water. The chances of them being on a raft is very, very, very remote, because if they were on a raft, Zakka, they would have been picked up by now, because surveillance operations have gone on through the day. So everyone is just keeping their fingers crossed. Everyone is waiting for the first morning light to start the search for these 78 missing people. But we really have to be prepared for the worst.
All right, we'll see how that progresses. Thanks very much, Shreya Dondial, for joining us with details of that search and rescue operation, which will resume tomorrow morning after daylight. Finally, as we wrap up, we'll close with this story. While most states in India are still under lockdown and will continue to be so for the next few weeks, in the United States, people are preparing for life after COVID-19, and it's turning out to be easier said than done, as Phil Black reports. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you again tomorrow night, same time.
Confined largely to our homes, deprived of freedoms, experiences and human connections. Somehow we've mostly learned to get by. Now in countries with advanced vaccine programs, we must adapt again. To crowds, to conversations, to a pace of life that seems distant and, personally, a little intimidating. And that makes me feel nervous, anxious, even fearful. But I don't know why I'm feeling this way.
I think we have all become a little inclined to be closed in and hesitant to go back to that normal life. And we need to reinvigorate that social muscle.
Psychologist Anna Nikčević says nervousness about returning to something like our old reality now has a name: re-entry anxiety. But it's not new.
This phenomenon has been observed by psychologists before in people who have spent protracted periods of time in isolation. For example, people who have gone in the space.
Ground control to me.
Chris Hadfield understands why some people are feeling anxious.
My longest time in space, when I was living on board and commanding the International Space Station, was a little under 6 months, so half a year, halfway around the sun.
Hadfield says he returned to Earth a different person, and many of those emerging from lockdown will also have experienced profound personal change.
Perhaps some of the anxiety is fueled by the fear that things could go back, that we could lose some of what we've found through this experience.
Well, I think that's up to each of us, Phil. How am I going to take this new version of me and introduce it to this new version of the world in as productive way as I possibly can?
A practical optimism, I think that's what you're advocating there. Is that fair?
That's how we fly spaceships, Phil, with a very deeply based practical optimism.
Pip Hare believes she is her best self when battling oceans alone. She recently finished a 96-day, non-stop, single-handed race around the world. But even with all her extraordinary courage, returning to life on land can be overwhelming.
Just need to remember that we are adaptable and we will go to a different kind of normal again. But you don't want to throw yourself at it too hard. Allow the change to happen gradually and make sure you're doing things that work for you.
My wife and I were arrested.
Jason Rezaian was imprisoned in Iran while working as the Washington Post's bureau chief.
I spent 49 days in solitary confinement, and I went on to spend a total of 544 days in that prison.
He knows the complex emotions that follow a sudden return to a once familiar life.
In my case, I was, one person, and my wife. We were two people that were dealing with this. What we're talking about now is billions of people around the world coming to this at almost the same time. Just recognizing that everybody is going to have a different reaction, and many of those reactions are going to be unexpected to the world and unexpected to those people themselves.
So we should all be a little gentle with each other, perhaps.
I think we should always be a little bit gentle with each other, but certainly in the weeks and the months ahead, I think we should err towards forgiveness. There's going to be a lot of awkward encounters for everybody.
Everyone wants the pandemic to end, but in a world where old certainties have been swept aside, we can't all be sure we'll want everything that comes next.